Tim may have to get up and leave, because Miss Mary Ann's had some problems today, too. But please keep both of them in your prayers. Okay, we'll start off with number 4, approval, correction, and minutes of our prior meetings. We had a regular board meeting on March 24th. We had a call meeting on April the 7th. I'll entertain a motion, or if there's corrections, let me know. Motion, you have a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Or call? I'm used to another meeting, I was carrying another meeting, I called it, so.
Fred Ellis.
Yes.
Roger Lofton.
Yes.
Tim Rhodes.
Yes.
Jimmy White.
Yes.
Gordon Wildridge.
Yes.
Gabe Williams.
Yes. And I want to apologize, y'all, but I'm dealing with an abscess too. I've been to 2 dentists today. I've had it all weekend, and my jaw is killing me, and I apologize. I don't usually make movies like I did a while ago, but I apologize for that. All right, number 5, comments from the mayor. There's a letter that was in the packet. I think it was page 6, 7, and 8 that you saw from the Tennessee Board of Utility Regulation. We're working on that. I think it's either I'm going to announce the call meeting that we'll have here in a minute. We'll present a cash management policy, and USI is working on OP&D trust. I know y'all saw that. It was pages, I think, 6, 7, and 8 in there. But I just want to let you know that we are.
What exactly does that issue stand for?
The OP&D, I really don't know. Cody, do you know?
Other post-employment benefits.
Well, that's like if, pay insurance or something like that.
Yes, health insurance and life insurance are the only things counted in our OPEB.
I understand.
Okay. All right. Also, under mayor's comments, I've got some announcements. We're gonna, if you'll mark on the calendars, we're gonna have a call meeting on May the 8th and one on May the 15th. The one on the 15th is about budget. And also, you need to make a note, we won't have our regular meeting on the 26th, because that falls on Memorial Day, so we'll have it the next day, which will be Tuesday the 22nd. So the regular monthly May meeting will be the 27th and not the 26th, because it falls on a
We
holiday.
got a call meeting on the 8th.
Yes, sir, on the 8th and the 15th, and we'll do those at 6 o'clock right here.
What is the call meeting about?
The call meeting, we're still working on the agenda. On the 6th, tentatively right now, that cash management policy we're talking about, I think there's a purchasing policy we're working on. Casey may have a Dixon Street sewer project that might be on there. If the utility thing passed tonight, it'd be a second reading. And I think we'll do LES and Lexington budgets that night on the 8th. And then the 15th, Tim would just be the city budget, solid waste budget, school budget, back to electric budget, and utilities, and that kind of stuff. It's that time of the year for it. The charter cost is not considered budget by, it falls on the 15th of this year is what that's about. All right, any questions about that? Okay. Number 6, unfinished business. I know I put on there, discuss approved salary survey clarification. I know at the last meeting we had a vote, and I know that it was checked with MTS, and that vote was properly, motion was made and amended, and MTS come back that everything procedurally was done correctly. But I think I've had some people ask about questions. Mr. Ford, I know me and you talked about that a little bit. Was there anything you wanted to comment on that?
No, I believe what we did on that. Well, the way I introduced the motion was, when I had the salary survey, when it was whatever, if we did any raises, if the money would be approved in the budget before we set forth any kind of raises or increases, that would be in the budget before we do it, and either this year or next year, we approve it when we do it. It's not vote to raise and come up with the money. Come up with the money first is what it was. I think somebody thought that asked me that it kept anything that's already in the system, people get other raises that already been voted on. And I did not intend that.
As far as like, utilities, like,
Yeah, I didn't, this was strictly on the city budget itself, not strictly the general fund budget, so it was.
any department heads have any questions about that? Everybody satisfied? All right, okay, we'll move on. Number 7, new business, Mr. Chris Dangler here. Mr. Chris, if you would come up to the podium. Chris called me the other day and talked to me about Hope Ministries. Now, I don't know how far back this went, but years ago, there was an agreement with Hope that the city would pay the utilities. In other words, they pay the electric bill, the garbage, water waste. And what Mr. Chris come and talk to me about, now that LexNet's involved, he's come and want to talk to me about them dropping the spectrum and us getting LexNet and the city put that into the utilities. Did I tell that correct, Mr. Chris?
Well, to start off with, I'm Chris Dangler, and I've been with Hope Ministries 20-some years. Hope started out in 1993 before I ever moved here, and it gradually just increased in what they were doing for the community. Right now, we get over a ton of food at Hope Ministries, and which in return is given out to different families. They can get help from us once a month. We help with electric and utilities, up to $200 per family. We give out over $3,000 every month just on that. The city is paying for our electric, our water, and our trash pickup, which we sure appreciate. We contacted the electric company and asked them about LexNet. Right now, we're paying Charter $100 a month for our internet that we have to have, and $40 a month for the phone, which is a nonprofit rate that they have, they said. So when we called the electric company, they said the price for internet would be the same, and they didn't have a special rate for nonprofits. What I'm asking for is that every penny we make goes right back into this community, because if you come in and a family can, as many clothes as they can get into a Walmart bag, $5. Every bag, second, third, fourth bag that they want to take with them, they're $4. And we give it to them. Furniture, we mark way down what we're getting in. But we need every penny we can get, and what I'm asking is that phone and the internet be picked up by LexNet, and we wouldn't have to pay it.
Who's paying it now? Are you paying it now?
We've been paying it through Charter.
Okay.
We checked into it with them, and got those quotes from us.
We don't furnish all through LexNet, do we?
You're following LexNet?
Yes.
How much is it?
It's $59.99 for the internet service, and I think it's $25 phone service.
So my question to all of us is, should not LexNet be the one that, can they do that legally?
No.
Can we
Probably
do what legally?
Can you give them free service?
We haven't given anybody else free service, put it that way.
And that's the city, and you're not giving the electric, it's the city's paying the electric bill. So they're not giving that either, about what we researched and found out.
How much you say it was a month?
$59.99 for the basic internet service, and then I believe it's $25 for phone service.
Total less.
That's less than what Charter was, right? $150.
$85 versus $100.
Yeah.
So I guess we are paying this board is, right?
And there's no installation cost. There's no installation cost in it.
the library, we split the utilities, but this would be the only one that would do, telephone and internet.
100%. The other parts that we're paying for them now, that's 100%.
Yes.
Where the library's only 50%.
And we split it with the county, it's county, city split it,
We pay it and then we bill the county for half.
and that's on the library.
Do they spend all that we voted for? Already?
So the utilities, I mean, it varies, it just depends on their usage.
Okay, this year, or everything.
So at the end of March, we're at 8,500.
Yeah, how much, you say 13?
13,339.
You had figured last year,
I don't know.
but it very well could be money we already allocate, picked up. Maybe.
Possible.
I'm like Roger, don't think about budget coming up, if we're gonna do it, let's at that time, decide to put it in there.
Yes.
I mean, that's, I'm like him, I think that'd be the time to do it, because if we got a new budget coming up, if we're gonna do it, it would be to just do it 1 or 2 times, just put it in there, as a lump sum, or whatever we decide to do.
Mr. Chris, what they're saying up here, we'll fix a new budget. May the 15th, we'll come out with a budget. And what we're gonna do is, they're gonna look at putting it in the budget for them where we're at. I don't think there's no need in coming back for that, but they're gonna take it, look at it, and I'll let you know what the board decides. Is that fair enough?
Yep. Fine with me, thank you.
All right, Mr. Chris, thank you for coming tonight. Thank you, sir. I'll make a note of that on the budget. Okay, Christie, if you'll make your way up. 7.2, discuss and approve Henderson County Chamber of Commerce, first Friday nights in the square.
Just requesting May 2nd, June 6th, and August 8th. It's no road closures, just, we'll have vendors and parking spots around the court square itself, not on the business side, but on the courthouse side.
Okay, tell us those dates one more time.
May 2nd, June 6th, and August 8th. Those are the first Fridays of the month.
Chief, will we make sure we get this in the email out to all our business owners to let them know?
It starts at 5 or 6 o'clock, so most of them are closed, but yeah.
Okay, all right, we'll get to work on that. I need a motion. I have a motion, and I have a second. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Roger Lofton. Tim Rhodes. Jimmy White. Gordon Wildred.
Yes.
Gabe Williams. Fred Ellis.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, 7.3, Cody, if you would make your way to voting report on debt obligation. Here's 2025 general obligation capital outlay note. This should be page 9 in the packet.
And y'all should have received a separate bound book in your envelope with the actual note issue. But these are the capital outlay notes for the 2 utility projects. R.W. Baird was the low bidder at 3.7% for 12 years. In fact, they ended up paying us a premium. They really want this issue. We maintained an A1 bond rating, and we hope to even improve that next year. Y'all have any questions?
Any questions?
I talked to Justin about this, can you kind of give us a detail how we're gonna spend this and what we're gonna do with it?
He'll know that better than I.
This is, most of it is for the meter change out for the gas anyway.
Can you come up to the podium, please? I know I called you and talked to you about this, but I want everybody, and maybe everybody on the board will talk to you. But the way I understood this is gonna be, we're gonna get the money now, but this will be spent over the next 3 years, is that correct?
It has to be spent within 3 years.
This will be spent in a year. So will they issue the whole amount right off the start?
It's already in the checking account.
Huh?
It's already in the checking account.
And what we have to do is decide, and that's why I guess what I'm asking is it make a calculation of how much it's gonna change your base to cover this?
Well, like I said, we already started last year, and
then with the bond issue coming off in 28. So, yes, and Mr. Marshall and I will get to that here in just a minute on the grade adjustment.
Who allocates the money? Cody or you? Who's responsible for dishing out the money?
I'd say that would be us in conjunction.
Is
You
y'all
talking about
together?
writing checks or deciding?
Decide where the money is going.
Well, that would be me. I mean, as far as presenting the plan of what we're doing.
And that was presented to the board when the board voted on these notes. We have to present a plan to the comptroller's office before we can issue debt. And I believe those projects are in that book. I don't remember the page numbers, but it should be pretty early in there.
It's just a report, right?
It just has to be read into the minutes.
Thank you, Jeff. All right, Casey, if you would make your way 7.4, discuss the two bids, Dixon Street drainage project. It should be page 13.
So this is a drainage project to improve catch boxes, culverts, asphalt, curb and gutter, things of that nature, in conjunction with the utility sewer project they're gonna have on Dixon Street also. So they's already gonna have the road tore up. So we were gonna do this at the same time, if that makes sense.
How's everything looking on that? Y'all saw about doing it at the same time, and Justin come back up.
We started talking about this project several months ago. My part is ARPA funded, it's grant funded. So we give him a projection of what the project was going to be. Well, it was double that. We estimated about $2 million and it come in $5.5 million. So well over that. So we're negotiating with the state to let us do a smaller scale down version of the project. And then that's what we're waiting on to get back from them, if they're going to approve that. And then if they're going to, once they approve that, then we can go ahead and do both projects at the same time.
So do we need, or does the board need to approve his tonight?
Contingent on.
Contingent on
Yeah.
that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I'm hoping to have on that special call meeting, I'm hoping to have everything worked out between the state to where we can do the scale down project.
So whoever makes a motion, if they do, needs to do a contingent on what you hear back from that.
So my question would be before or after the motion?
I'd go now.
So my question, the scale down portion, is it actually fixing the problem or?
It's starting to fix the problem. Yeah, it's going from, we initially was going all the way from Dixon Street, or down Dixon Street, Fairgrounds, and all the way to the lift station, the west lift station, which is back in the woods, across from Carolyn Ray's. But now we're just gonna do the Dixon Street portion, and then future plan on repairing that from. So what's?
That's my question. Is this going to fix the problem or
Yes.
is it just sort of a Band-Aid?
No, this is fixing that section, and then we'll just have to address the other section later.
Small section.
Yeah.
My question to you is, Casey, then does that complete what you need, or you need more than this?
For Dixon Street, from the highway up to the football stadium parking, we redone that about 10 years ago. Might not have been that long ago. We have a lot of issues going into the senior center, the culverts there. The gentleman that lives on the corner, he's constantly flooding his yard. Some of the catch box are deteriorated, and some of the culverts going across the road are rusted out. So we figured while he had the road tore up, you know, it'd be a good time to go on and knock this out.
And that's going to take care of all of those that you just mentioned. That will fix that problem on Dixon Street completely.
Yes, it should.
I guess that's my question.
And how much
will that fix it all?
Yeah, Dixon
For that
Street
section,
from the
for that
utility
section.
standpoint will be good.
And then also gonna get new asphalt, gonna mill and pave the whole street too. That's not in this bid, but that's gonna be in my capital for paving.
You're gonna take this whole $727,000?
Well, I'm gonna get with the contractor, and he's got milling and paving in this bid, or not milling, I'm sorry, paving. So maybe we can get that took out, since we're gonna do it anyway. It won't be necessary for him to do it. So that should make that step down.
Who actually does the digging? The people that the utilities hire, or the contractor you hire?
I mean,
His utility side be our contractor, on his side will be his contractor. We tried to bid these, and we tried to get them to where one contractor would possibly be interested in both of them, but it just didn't work out that way.
Just for reference, is this the worst issue in the town we have with drainage, or is there several that's gonna be like this?
You can answer that for you. Well, I've been telling you for years, it's a sleeping giant.
That's my point.
It's all.
you got drainage problems all over.
everywhere.
So, and and again, I'm making an example of this. How will this be absorbed? What funds will?
It's a Cody question.
Also needs to be included in the motion to use money out of the sales tax fund. If the board so desires. Only other alternative would be the State Street aid or liquor fund.
So that's non-recurring, non-dependable funds, so the more of these projects that we have, we're just having to absorb it. So, once again, back to our previous years of neglect and not raising our revenue issues, this is a prime example. So we have no money for this, this is what I'm trying to say. We have no money for this, but we have to fix it. I'm not saying we don't, but there's other issues in our town that I think are comparable, that are gonna be expensive tokens, so. Just note, so the sales tax fund, from my standpoint, those are funds that we count on for non-one-time expenses to help offset our property tax revenues. Okay, so that's ongoing, we can help budget, but when we have to use sales tax funds to pay for stuff like this, it makes trying to use those funds in a budgeting process for future expenses very difficult.
Another question is, should or should not this be put in what we're gonna do in the budget for the coming year?
Well, you're kind of on the timeline. It needs to be done while school is out.
I agree with that, I'm not saying that, but I mean, if we do it right now, he doesn't have an answer on his project yet, does he?
No.
But you would go ahead and start sure, is that correct?
Just as soon as we could, you know.
But if you were wanting to do it because he had the ground open, wouldn't that mess that up?
Well, that's right. It's contingent on. So if his falls through, then we'll wait on ours. We'll just.
So you wouldn't, I think to ask the question, you wouldn't start yours till,
That's right.
I think that's what you was
Yeah,
asking.
what I'm trying to find out is if you're gonna dig it up, cover it back, come on, dig it up again.
So he's not going to.
Yeah. That's what I was trying to find out. They're not, both projects run concurrent with one another, I understand that. But I'm trying to find out what timeline we have, even to do on school out, which I totally understand. But I guess my question was, where we are on his timeline, on Justin's timeline, where he's gonna know, when is yours gonna know?
Like I said, the special call-up meeting, I'm hoping to have that information by
So
then.
you don't hope to have it
By the
by
eighth.
the eighth? I think we're supposed to put it on the plan for the eighth.
It wouldn't take 2 weeks on this, would it? On this
So
one,
to approve the bid?
on this particular, yes.
No.
All right, so I'm Jordan.
I'll make a motion, we take it to the eighth, and do it all at one time.
I have any discussion. Call the roll, please.
Tim Rhodes,
Yes.
Jimmy White,
Yes.
Gordon Wooldridge,
Yes.
Gabe Williams, Fred Ellis,
Yes.
Roger Lawson.
Okay. All right, Casey Junction Pool, discuss approve adopting 2025 pool rates, it should be page 15.
Yeah. So what we done here is just took off the last party from 7:30 to 9:30 in August. Days are getting shorter. And your employees are going back to school and things of that nature. So that's all we done there. And updated the times and dates.
questions?
Did the fees all stay the same?
Yes.
Make a motion to approve.
Any discussion? Call roll, please.
Jimmy White,
Yes.
Gordon Wilders,
Yes.
Gabe Williams, Brett Ellis,
Yes.
Roger Lofton, Tim Rhodes,
Yes.
Just wanted to make sure, you said that the milling and paving would be rolled over into the next year's budget.
Yes.
So that is it as a capital project, right?
Yes.
So we're gonna be obligated to fix that. Does that come out of that $200,000 to $500,000 that you typically get for road pavement, or is that gonna be in addition to?
In addition to.
Do you know about how much that would be?
Just say 120.
Wesley, you would make your way up. 7.6, discuss improving the part-time firefighter vacancies.
Mayor and Board of Aldermen, we wanted to come and let y'all know that we have completed our interview process and our review of each candidate's knowledge, skills, abilities, dedication to the department, and also understanding of our operations. The department has determined Brendan Anthony to be the best fit for our department. During our process, we reviewed the nepotism policy against the hire and determined there was no provisions to prevent and exclude him from employment with the City of Lexington Fire Department due to his relationship to Chief Middleton. The reason we're coming before y'all is to take responsibility of our decisions and to be transparent. I'll entertain any questions you have.
Did somebody quit?
We had a vacancy through part-time, yes. We had a fireman that worked at another department and chose to go a different direction on his part-time.
So it's budgeted already?
Oh, yes, yes, sir.
How long ago did they quit?
They've been gone 2 months.
You were says to discuss and approve, but normally we let our department heads do their own hiring. It's just usually a token when they come.
We're not adding anything.
And we're not adding anything to it, so you're just basically.
Yeah, there's no direct line of supervision. Matter of fact, there's at least 4 levels of supervision between the Chief Middleton and what would be Brendan, so there would be no conflict.
Do you have any more questions for Wesley? Thank you, Wesley.
Thank you, Mayor Alderman.
All right, 7.7, discuss approve resolution TEAC pre-pandemic
All right, so we're a member of TEAC. TEAC is 47 municipalities that allow us to purchase gas. We had the buying power of 47 municipalities instead of just one.
Should be paid 16. I'm sorry, I should tell that when you start.
This deal, we made a deal in 2006, and this deal, we'll be replacing it in August. And over the term of this deal, we saved roughly $3 million, $3.5 million of savings with an annual refund of approximately $100,000. And this is just re-upping the deal for a 30-year term, and then we get to every 5 to 8 years we get to say whether we're in or out, or make adjustments in what we buy.
What this has to do is give us ability to sell gas to residents.
Yes, sir.
Any more questions for Justin? No, I entertain a motion. All right. Got a motion down second. Any discussion? Call roll, please.
Gordon Wilders,
Yes.
Gabe Williams, Brett Ellis, Roger Lofton, Tim Rhodes,
Yes.
Jimmy White.
Yes.
Okay, motion passed. 7.8, discuss approve first reading of ordinance adopting water, sewer, and gas rates. I think that's page 24. Justin?
Yes, sir. I have Mr. Jim Marshall here with Jackson Thornton. Back last year, we asked and y'all approved for us to do a rate study. He is an independent rate study specialist from just a handful of people that the state T-Board board approved to do rate studies in Tennessee. We've been working with him for about 6 months to complete the rate study. Just like I said earlier, with what we projected the cost would be on the project, and then it over doubled. So we're working with them. That helps us prepare ourselves in the future for that. And at this time, I'm going to let Mr. Jim go through what he's found in the rate study.
All right, thank y'all. How will be is, I've got 35 slides. I'm going to hit them as quick as I can, as succinctly as I can. Y'all ask questions, make comments. Some of these slides I put in here just to have, for y'all to have on file, if you will. But we're looking at the 12 months ending June of 2024, when we look at your operations and maintenance expenses, when we look at your billing statistics. We are looking forward when it comes to your rate-funded capital plan as well as your debt service. Quick overview of why we are typically brought in. Make sure that each system you have is operating the way y'all want it to operate, that you're funding what you want to do. Second to that, and that's financial sufficiency, basically having enough money on hand. And then from there, fairness and equity. You're a publicly owned utility. There are no shareholders to answer to. There are no dividends to be paid out, right? So there's no profit motive. But you have to continually make money to reinvest in your infrastructure. And y'all will hear me say this a couple times throughout this, but there's never been a more expensive time to run a utility. Cost of materials are through the roof, cost of personnel are through the roof. Projects that years ago cost a couple $1,000s are costing tens of thousands. I give y'all, in addition to, Justin said that y'all bid something out, it came back, or estimated $2 million is coming in north of 5.5. We're seeing that all across the state, all across the southeast. Add a couple zeros to that, and we've got systems that spec something out, they thought it was going to be $50 million, it's coming back north of $100 million in 6 months. And it's a well-run utility, that $50 million was a reasonable number. So that's a backdrop to really trying to step into what y'all need to do from a proactive basis, trying to make sure that your rates are sufficient and fair and equitable, meaning everybody's paying their fair share, nothing more, nothing less. It's a zero-sum game. It's going to cost y'all X amount to serve your customers, right? And if somebody's getting a discount or paying less than X, that means somebody's going to be paying more than their fair share. And ideally, people are just paying their fair freight. Balancing that with affordability, simple rates, and then defensibility. While the 35 slides, and this is one of the longest slides, don't worry. I'm boiling down 220-something pages of data into these charts and graphs that kind of tell the story of where y'all are relative to where you need to be. Balancing that with, going back to defensibility, for water and sewer in particular, the American Water Works Association M1 manual is the leading resource for fair, appropriate, reasonable industry standards methodologies. Everything we do adheres to that manual. In fact, I serve on the committee for AWWA, the national committee that helps write the manual. So we have a good idea as to what we're doing. There's a reason that T-Board supports us doing it within the state of Tennessee. Quick overview of the process, and then we'll actually get into y'all's data. But we look at everything in its own silo. So water customers should pay for water, sewer customers pay for sewer, gas pay for gas. So we look at your water expenses on an island, sewer and gas. You really don't want to subsidize across systems. So we look at, with management's help, how much money do y'all need to make? So I'm not telling y'all what projects y'all need to do. Y'all are telling me what projects y'all need to do, how much you're going to cost, and the best way to pay for that, right? Blending rates versus debt versus grant funded. So if it's grant funded, we're not targeting that money. Y'all are getting that money from somewhere else. There's no reason for your ratepayers to pay for that, right? So we're taking that into account. Part of my role is to get y'all to do as little as possible to your rates to do everything y'all need to do operationally. That's O&M, paying your employees, paying your vendors, looking at what your rate-funded capital projects are. But we look at, once we establish that target, we then look at, all right, well, how are your customers using your system? How many customers do you have in each rate class within each system? And we'll look at water first, then sewer, then gas. But your billing statistics tell us how your customers are using your system. Well, that's why you're incurring your cost. At the root of all of this is cost causation. Now, I'll give you a very simple example of a fixed expense. Meter reading. Back in the day when you had guys going around reading the meters, it didn't matter if the water meter was 10,000 gallons a month or 2,000 gallons a month, you incurred the same cost to read that meter. So when I say fixed expense, the consumption or the volumes consumed have nothing to do with the expense that's being incurred. Well, a volumetric or a variable expense, chemicals at the treatment plant. The more water you're pumping out, the more chemicals you're using, right? So that expense fluctuates based off how much you're selling. That's a variable expense. So we blend the fixed and the variable expenses, and we look at it by rate class, and we end up with what would be a perfect or a true cost of service based rate. And from there, we compare that to your existing rates, and where there are some insufficiencies or some gaps, we want to slowly, in a measured way, begin to close those gaps. Step 4 is why I'm here tonight, and why I'll be back next week. All right. So, system summary really just gives you a broad overview of where you are from an overall revenue sufficiency standpoint. We have the system total there on the left, which is the sum of water, sewer, and gas added together. So this pointer works. So all told, your rates need to generate $18.5 million. Your total revenue really is the target here of $19.4. Okay? Total revenue requirement of $19.4. Total revenue of $17.2. Down there on the bottom. We're short, or y'all are short, about $2.2 million based off stated needs. Now, some of that, if you're trying to back into a financial statement, some of that is the debt service that y'all are planning to borrow that you haven't started paying for yet. Well, we need to design rates to be able to step into that. So that's part of the driver there. Another way of looking at it, system-wide, you're getting 89 cents on the dollar. Not terrible, not great. Water, 95 cents on the dollar, and we'll look at each in detail. Solid, but could be tweaked. Sewer, 68 cents on the dollar. If I brought home a 68 to my parents in high school, I'm going to a tutor or getting grounded. There's work to be done there. And then gas is at 94 cents on the dollar. And I will say, the first time when we work with folks, this is not an uncommon look. Not an uncommon result. Sewer, initially, is always going to be a dog. Sewer is not fun, it's not sexy. Nobody thinks about it until it bubbles up in the yard. And it is terribly expensive. It is terribly expensive. Anytime there's a new regulation come out, new threshold to meet on regulatory requirements, just spend money. That's what you're going to have to do. All right, just a quick visual. 89 cents on the dollar, that 95, 68, 94. In a perfect world, the overall system and each of the individual systems underneath it or next to it are right at 100%. That means you're getting the money you need to get. Each system is kind of carrying its own weight, taking its own water, so to speak. Not quite there. Again, largely driven by looming capital needs, whether they're being funded directly through rates or new debt coming on. And again, y'all ask questions, make comments. I don't want y'all thinking about slide 6 when we're on slide 12. So don't hesitate to just interrupt and ask questions. No need to hold things until the end. So now we'll look at water in its own style. How much money needs to come in? We look at things on a cash needs basis. So how much cash needs to walk in the door? Got O&M expense of right at $4.3 million. That does not include depreciation. Depreciation is not a cash need. Got transfers back to the city of 37. Debt service, principal, and interest, and that includes a portion of debt that does not yet exist, or money y'all have not quite started paying back, of $1.7 million. And then based off the 5-year capital work plan, projected capital needs for the water system, funding about 1.9 or really just shy of $2 million a year from rates into capital improvements or directly into infrastructure for the system. So that's an $8 million need. From that, we back away other revenue of $350,000. It's late payments, interest income, basically any revenue y'all get from anything other than selling water. So that lessens what rates need to bring in. So we have to back away the $350,000. We're at $7.6 million. Rate requirement for the water system. So on a per dollar basis, what does that look like? For every dollar y'all need, 54 cents is going to pay O&M. 24 cents of the dollar is being directly put back into the system in rate-funded capital. 21 cents of every dollar is going to pay debt, and a very small amount coming back to the city at one penny of every dollar. Revenue required by class. Again, I mentioned that we look at how your customers are using your system. That's what your billing statistics are telling us. And we have the total system need, that $8 million here on the far left, and then we have rate classes going left to right. Your 5/8 inch inside city limit and outside. Whenever you see in or out, that's relative to city limits, okay? So these are far and away your two largest classes. In 5/8 inch meters, those are the vast majority of those, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but those are going to be residential folks. Those are houses. 1 inch and larger, they're going to be more commercial and maybe even some industrial customers. But there's not much of that. I mean, you can just, when you stack all of these rate classes on top of each other, you obviously get the system total there on the left. Y'all are driven by your 5/8 inch inside and even more so your 5/8 inch out. You know, they're probably 6.5 of the $8 million need in round numbers. So they are driving everything. That's based off their percentage. I think they're 95 or 96% of your customer base. They're a significant portion of your volume as well. Recovery by rate class. Again, we've already touched on the 95 cents on the dollar here. Your 5/8 inch inside is paying 86 cents of every dollar they need to pay. Inside 1 inch is at 89. Your 5/8 inch out is right in line with where they need to be. Really anywhere between 97 and 103%, you're in good shape relative to financial sufficiency and fairness. Having your largest rate class right at 100% or 101%, that's why the system as a whole the water system is at 95 cents on the dollar. Your second largest class is your relative to recovery is your worst performing class at 86 cents on the dollar. So how can we close that gap? On an $8 million need, we're talking $420,000 of a shortfall. So not significant. I think we'll see significant when we look at sewer here in a second. But rate adjustments should be considered. And one thing that I really strongly recommend that y'all do, and we'll see this on sewer and gas as well, is right now y'all include usage in your minimum bill. You include usage in your customer charge. Consider reducing that in a methodical manner. On water, really, in year one, my recommendation for y'all to consider, and this is also after we met back in early March on this and went through it and spent the chunk of the day together diving into the weeds on all 200 pages of spreadsheets. But what I would like for y'all to consider is reducing the usage that y'all are giving away. And I'll show a visual here in a second to support why. And then that would bring in about $725,000 based off 24 billing statistics. That would bring in about $725,000 of additional revenue. Yes, sir.
And that's without raising rates. By reducing the amount that we give.
Correct. And I want to be very transparent with that. It is not a rate increase. Customers will pay more if they use more than 1,000 gallons.
Yes,
but for it to be a rate increase, y'all's $28.51 and the $6.50 would have to go up. So this is it's a rate adjustment. You're reducing the usage included in your bill. It's an adjustment. It is not a true increase.
So today, everybody gets 2,000 free gallons.
Correct.
And we would change that to 1,000.
Correct.
1,000 gallons would give an extra $725.
Correct.
But you're gonna pay the full rate on 1,000
For
gallons.
an extra 1,000 gallons.
So what's a small household use in total, Justin? I mean,
I'll show you that here.
Okay.
I'll show you here that. Great question. No, that's we're tracking
as a
what.
percentage of the bill, I can.
Yeah. So I want to walk through this visual because it's important. We'll see it. Sorry that I'm hovering, but I can't see that far. So right now, this blue line here is your cost to serve on a per 1,000 gallon basis. The result of the study is it costs y'all $25.76 to have a residential inside city limit customer on the system before they buy any water. And then $5.98 for every 1,000 gallons that they buy.
I'm sorry, that's not county residents. Do we give 2,000 free gallons
Yes.
to county?
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there. This is just always, with municipal systems, always focus on residential inside the city. Is it to tell the story. It's a similar picture, but remember, outside city limit folks are already paying 101%. But we'll get there. We'll get there. Great question. So this blue line here is your cost to serve. This red line is your current rate. If you're below the blue line, you're losing money. If you're above the blue line, you're making money. Y'all's customer charge is $28.51. That's strong. The challenge with that is you include $13 worth of water. Your rate is $6.50 per 1,000 gallons for everything over 2,000 gallons. 650 times 2 is 13.
$13
Is what y'all are giving away out of that $28.50.
without changing rates.
So my recommendation for y'all to consider tonight, and again when I'm back here Thursday of next week, is reducing that usage in the minimum bill.
But that would be for county residents and city residents.
Correct. Yeah. I should have said it for all customers.
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
So it's $13 per customer.
$6.50 because we're going from 2 to 1.
Okay, half of that.
Because you don't need that much on water.
Yeah, we're giving
Not
away
yet.
13 free, but we're gonna reduce it to $6.50.
Yeah.
And if I can add, 1950, when Lexington acquired it, the minimum bill was 3,000 gallons. So sometime between now and then, we've already took 1,000 off. So, I mean,
Again, the net, to me, what I'm hearing is $6.50 for every customer in our system, residential.
So if you only use 2,000 gallons a month, your bill's gonna be $6.50 more.
Correct.
That month.
If you use 2,000 or more.
Yeah. Or if you
Yeah.
use 10,000
Yeah.
gallons.
Yeah, I got it.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Anything above 1,000 will be $6.50 more.
And that's, so
That's
it,
per 1,000 gallons, right?
say that again?
That's 650 for 1,000 gallons.
Correct, keeping your rates where they are.
But it's one time, whether you use 20,000 gallons or.
Well, you do 1,000
2,000
gallons, it's so much. If you do 2,000 gallons, it goes up on that additional $6.50, right?
Correct, your rate, the 28.50 was, based off my recommendation, the 28.51, your current customer charge includes 2,000 gallons.
So they make 1,500 gallons worth of it too.
Not enough.
No, I mean, if you do 1,500 gallons, you cut the 651 in half, and you make the whole 651.
Depends on most billing systems, but if you do about 100 gallons, it'd be cut the revenue in half.
If you done 100 gallons.
It'd be a tenth.
So if your billing system sets it up to do it, you based on what your actual use is, that extra 1,000 gallons.
Correct.
So you wouldn't automatically put the 651 on 100 gallons, you'd have to use the whole 1,000 gallons.
It depends on the billing software.
Justin, what was the billing system currently do? It's based on per hundred, so it'd be a tenth.
The 2,000 units, 2,000 gallons, 1,000 gallons, it's 1,000 gallon increments are more common across the industry than if you were to build by hundreds of gallons or cubic feet or for the rest of it. So, again, with water being at 95 cents, you're close to where you need to be, not quite to where you need to be. But if you decrease the volume included to all customers from 2,000 gallons to 1,000, from everybody from the 5/8 inch inside all the way out to your 4-inch folks, and you get 104 cents on the dollar. Your recovery is a $1.04 for every dollar you need, which is a good spot to be in relative to the other needs on the system. It's trying to balance what's appropriate for water with the more substantial needs on the system.
And I mean, we get ahead, but back to how many people use more than 2,000 gallons. If you're gonna get to that, I'll be quiet, but like, what percentage, I'm assuming the majority of our system uses more than 2,000 gallons.
Yes, your average customer on your residential inside city limit customer, your average customer uses right at 3,800 gallons.
So I'm just saying, very, very, very small percentage are gonna be using less than.
It could be 10%, but is that vacancies? Is it rental properties that aren't?
Yeah.
I mean, so it's hard to know if it truly is regular routine usage. There are not many folks that are living in a house full time that are going to use less than 1,000 gallons.
I many water customers you say we have?
Almost 11,000.
But, I mean, in the city.
Y'all give me a second, I've got that.
That's water, right?
Yes.
The question was water customers inside the city?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
All right, give me 1 second here. We've got, as of June, got 3,774 inside, 5/8 inch inside, and 6,300 outside.
8,300 outside. But the outside is good, the inside is a problem.
Say that again, I'm sorry?
Outside is doing good, it just needs to be a little bit, the inside is where the problem is.
Relative to recovery, and it's hard from a, and I don't want to, from a rate methodology standpoint, and truthfully from an administrative standpoint, it matters to be consistent with what you're giving away, otherwise it's kind of a billing nightmare.
I totally get that.
Yeah.
Bottom line, we don't pay enough revenue on the inside.
Yes.
It drags us down.
Correct.
And at the same time, inside the city, we have sewer, outside, we don't have sewer.
Right. And this, based off 24 billing statistics, this gets your residential inside folks to 97 cents on the dollar. And then, given the needs with sewer and to a lesser extent gas, I'm going to recommend 2 years of action for sewer and gas. Water, we're good with 1 year if y'all do go from 2 to 1, 2,000 gallons, including down 1,000 gallons.
Sir, what's them numbers again, if you don't mind, in the city versus the county?
Number of customers?
Yes, we didn't hear that, it's right here.
The 3774 and 6321.
Thank you.
Sure. All right.
So you said the average house used 3,800 gallons, something like that?
Right.
So it's gonna be $6.50 for every 1,000 gallons over 1,000, right?
It's just, if you use 2,000 gallons or more, you're going to be paying for another 1,000 gallons.
Okay, so if you use that 3,800, which is basically $4,000, your bill's gonna go up about $19.
No.
You can
No.
go back to that.
Yeah, here's the bill in fact here.
650 one time for every one time. Period. One time flat fee.
Correct.
If you're 2,000 gallons.
If you use 2,000, 10,000, or 100,000, $6.50.
Correct.
It's not $6.50 per 1,000.
No, you're just paying for that 1,000 gallons that you're not currently paying for from 1 to 2. So we're talking $6.50 increase in year 1 with no planned action in year 2. And I will say, how y'all engaged us, I'll be back here in 2 years. Well, I'll be back here next week, and I'll be back here again in 2 years. So we're trying to take small incremental bites of the apple to get y'all where y'all need to be, largely driven by looming capital needs. And then again, so we'll review 24, 26, and 28. All right, sewer. It's going to be the same exact slides, just with sewer information. So we've got 2.1 million of O&M, 86 of transfers back to the city, debt service, principal and interest of 1.4, allocating $580,000 a year from rates reinvested directly into your capital infrastructure. So the total revenue requirement is 4.2 million. Back away other revenue, rates need to generate just under 4.1 million. Again, for every dollar coming in, or every dollar that needs to come in, 50 cents is O&M, 14 cents is going to rate funding capital, 34 cents of every dollar is going to pay the bank. Revenue requirement by rate class. To your point there earlier, Mr. Willard, y'all do have some outside city limit folks, but not many. I mean, they're dropping the bucket. Right?
Well, we have right now, we understand we have crossroads.
Yeah, and that, I mean, y'all are gonna go as your residential inside class goes relative to financial sufficiency. I mean, there are 3 million of the 4 million need. With your 2 inch and your 3 inch being a distant second, third place. Again, based off billing statistics, number of customers, volumes, how they use the system, again, all rooted in cost causation. But what outside looking in, what this tells me is that if your residential folks aren't paying close to their fair share, the system isn't gonna be in good shape financially. Just because there's such an overwhelming portion of the system. Meaning driver costs. All right. So again, by rate class, in an ideal perfect cost of service world, the system in each rate class is at 100%. But that means everybody's paying their fair share, nothing more, nothing less. Again, there's no profit motive, right? But based off the established need compared to established revenue, the sewer system's getting 68 cents on the dollar. With your inside city limit folks getting 64 cents of every dollar.
Can I ask a odd question?
Yeah.
Based on this number, it means that we're woefully underfunded, correct? How have we survived?
I think, and I don't know the history, so if I step on toes, that's not intentional, but typically when we see a picture like this, there's probably been capital needs that haven't been addressed for years that have kind of crept up and it's just snowballed, and it's coming home to roost a little bit.
So, big picture on this, and just tell me if I'm understanding this right. Based on these numbers, we will have to make a decision. Do we want to fix the issues within our system, or basically push it off for somebody else to fix later? Is that a good analogy?
There's several steps between point A and point B,
but
in theory, yeah.
But this is current. I mean, this is so,
Yeah.
recently, we've already borrowed money to do new projects, and we've probably gotten further behind. So if we took out new notes in the last year or two, you're looking at current projections and actuals.
Right, so part of this.
Not fictitious stuff.
So, yes, and sorry, I didn't mean to step on there. So this $600,000, that's what y'all gonna be spending from rates in the rate funded capital, directly in the infrastructure. This 1.4 million is principal and interest.
Yeah,
So we
already have.
Yeah, well, there's, with sewer.
But I'm saying, this does not even include stuff that we don't know about, or that he hadn't asked us for yet.
I will say with debt and rate funded capital, we are looking forward. But we're not designing rates on money that y'all might borrow in 2030, right? We're looking 2 years out. What are you going to be borrowing in the next 2 years to step into?
Are you looking at one-time capital project needs?
Over a multi-year period, we're targeting the average annual need.
Okay.
I don't want y'all's rates chasing capital
Where's
projects.
capital project money go?
So I'm just asking,
Where does the capital project money go?
into your capital infrastructure. To what?
To do what with?
To improve and rehab your existing facilities and expand them when necessary.
It's already zeroed out on that, right? Capital.
Well, for sewer, we're targeting $580,000. Y'all are targeting $580,000 from rates to go directly into your infrastructure on an annual basis.
When you and Justin met, and I talked about this, was there discussions what's going to be needed in the future?
Yes, it's a 5-year forward-looking capital work plan.
5-year forward.
This is the 5-year plan I sent y'all.
Okay.
All this is based
This
upon.
is 5-year plan?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I was gonna ask.
We put off capital projects forever, it's kind of a little more rate rate, and now we're spending 5 times as much as we did 10 years ago.
And that's,
20 years ago, 30 years ago.
and y'all aren't alone in that, but that doesn't mean it's a great position, right? But that's, and I mentioned at the outset, there's never been a time that's been more expensive to double down on infrastructure.
And frankly, our cities, we got more rate, we're using it more, so the more need for sewer, the more projects we're gonna have too.
Yeah, I mean, this is,
Businesses and everybody else is.
this is not alarming to me in the least. and that, again, we have, from my practice standpoint, we are busier than we've ever been because projects are more expensive than they've ever been. And people have to figure out your capital plan has to be supported by an appropriate and prudent financial plan. And that's part of what this is. I mean, we're slowly kind of, I know it may not feel slow, but we're slowly trying to step in to get y'all where y'all need to be when y'all have to go to bank again 4 years from now.
And see if you'll support me on this, I've thought about this stuff a lot. So in the past, us and many entities and businesses, they fix stuff when it broke, okay? So, and back then though, you didn't have project cost escalating as much. So if you waited 5 years to fix a project 20 years ago, it didn't cost that much more if you waited 5 years later to fix it.
Right.
So you could Band-Aid it, put it off, and it wouldn't cost much more. Or now, when you put it off, if you put it off 5 years, the cost of the fix is gonna cost 5 or 10 times more than if you would have fixed it at the time of need.
Correct.
So, but to answer Fred's question, I think that's how we get by. You go for a 20-year period, and inflation and projects is not that much, or 10-year period, not that much. You put it off, you don't get hurt that much. You know, you Band-Aid it, you wait to fix it when you have to, but the cost of that project at that time is not more. Where today, every year you put it off, the cost of projects and getting work done is going up unknown amount. And that's, to me, the scary part with all of it. That's where we get caught in.
And that is a very common, for better or worse, that's financial decisions have driven how much has been allocated to capital. Well, if you think about it, the mile of pipe that was put around 30 years ago, what did it cost then compared to what is it going to cost today? Because that's what's being retired off through depreciation, is that 30-year-old asset. It costs a lot more today than it did 30 years.
We got 50-year-old pipes.
Yeah.
Or 70-year-old pipes.
And that's what, I mean, and that's where it's an important shift to make, and this gets out of rates, and so y'all allow my indulgence, but it's important to go from a reactive mindset relative to capital to proactive, and actually planning and budgeting. Y'all alluded to it earlier around the drainage. That's part of how I'm talking. The time to replace the tires on your truck isn't when they pop on the interstate. You replace your tires well before they pop. So don't do it with multi-billion-dollar assets.
Especially when
preventative maintenance matters.
But I guess my point being, if I was trying to help everybody, because I thought about this stuff, in the past, again, the tires didn't cost more by waiting 5 years. Okay, you could still, maybe the tires cost $100 this year, and 5 years from now, they're gonna cost $110, okay? It's a little bit of an increase, but not meaningful. Now, the $100 tires today are gonna cost $500 in 5 years. So in the past, that was not the case. So now we're looking at escalating, inflation with projects specifically more so than anything, because everything's gone up a lot.
Right.
Especially in these big, expensive projects that we're doing, which are these cost our system.
And that's, so if you're accelerating project over what historically has been done, it's a double whammy because you're doing more, you're paying more to do more. All right, so on a need of 4.2 million per sewer, y'all are short 1.35 million. So on water, I'm asking y'all to consider a 1-year plan. On sewer, we're not going to we're not going to have a 50% rate increase, right? If you get from 68% to 100%, roughly 50% increase. That is not my recommendation. So on sewer, similar on water, in year 1, reduce the usage included in the minimum bill or in the customer charge from 2,000 gallons down to 1,000 gallons on all customers. So same exact approach on sewer that we had on water, but on sewer we're adding in a customer charge increase in year 2. On all inside city limit folks, increase that customer charge by $7. At full implementation, that would bring in additional revenue of about $526,000. So we need 1.3. We're trying to get 500 in 2 years.
How much you gonna put on in year 1 from 2,000 to 1,000? What's that increase? Reduction, you gonna charge?
It's $7. Your rate is $7 per 1,000 gallons.
$7?
Yes, sir. So I do want to point out, again, the visual, it costs y'all just under $47 a month to have a sewer customer on your system before y'all run the first bit of sewer from them. And then $6 for every 1,000 gallons that y'all bid. That's this line here. Your red line is your current rate. $27.58. And again, right now y'all include $14 worth of volume in that $28. So my recommendation, reduce the usage included in that customer charge from 2,000 down to 1,000 on all customers and all inside city limit customers in year 2. So, it would be implemented, more than a year from now, increase that customer charge $7.
Have you done one of these for Lexington before?
I worked with Lexington Electric probably a decade ago.
But the utility?
No, this is my first time to be with y'all.
Has one ever been done to your knowledge?
2016, we had one done.
Were we this skewed?
We did
back
change
then?
rates. We did change rates back then.
I doubt it just because capital needs have increased so
We
much
didn't-
in the
we didn't
last.
make like what this is.
I haven't seen that before,
How much
but it's,
we increased per gallon. We changed rates. We changed water rates. Everybody got one.
Is it just a one-year plan, or was it staged out like we talked about?
But that was just a bond. We had that bond, we had that money to cover that bond.
but and I'm illustrating the rate impact over the full implementation, right? So the $7 achieved by the reduction of usage in the customer charge, and then the $7 increase on the customer charge itself brings right at $511,000, gets you about half of what you need. Of the total shortfall, your residential inside folks are right at $1,050,000 of that. Comparing their cost to revenue, that's over a 2-year period, eats into about half of that under recovery in round numbers. Gets the sewer system up to 81 cents on the dollar, 80 cents on the dollar, 81 cents for your largest rate class. Gas. Again, same format, and we're almost there, guys. Y'all stick with me. But again, feel free to ask questions, make comments. O&M of $5.8 million. That includes cost of gas, payment back to the city of $230, debt service of principal and interest of $470, rate funded capital of $680,000. So total revenue requirement of right at $7.25 million. Other revenue of $427, $430 that we back off. Rates need to generate $6.8 million. Again, look, this one is skewed a little bit because you have that 81 cents on the dollar. Again, includes that cost of the commodity when y'all pay your gas wholesalers. Water and sewer do not have that component. 7 cents of every dollar is going to the bank. 9 cents of every dollar is being reinvested back into the infrastructure, with 3 cents coming to the city. So revenue requirement by rate class. Again, total system need on the far left, the residential end is your second largest class. Residential outside city limits is your largest class at roughly $3 million of the $7 million need. Again, really looking at that recovery by rate class. The system itself at 94 cents on the dollar is in fine shape. We're talking, relatively speaking, talking tweaks to the rate, especially in today's inflationary environment. Really the last probably going back to 2019, 2020, explosive inflation in the utility industry. 69 cents on the dollar for residential inside, 80 cents on the dollar for residential out. Small commercial isn't quite doing what it needs to do, and everybody else is paying more than their fair share or more. So that 6% under recovery, or 6 cents for every dollar, is a shortfall of $410,000. With the residential classes combined, residential inside and outside city limits, are under recovered 1.1 million. Your small commercial class is under recovered by 30,000.
So can you go back?
Sure. To there.
Right there. And the one thing that you had said earlier is best case scenario is to have people be as close to even as possible.
Correct.
Do we leave the 139, 149, or 159, or is that potentially, can that be reduced to them if we do this other? You see the question?
I absolutely do. It's a great question, and in time that should be a consideration. But the system, all three, financial sufficiency is the number one goal. Fairness and equity is number two. And selfishly for me, if I say y'all need to go up 50% on your residential folks, but you give your industries a break, politically that doesn't fly and I'm running out of town. I've gotten a police escort out of town before. I don't want another one. And I mean, so it's, they will benefit. No, and it's a perfectly, and I'm trying to tell a story and answer the question, right? But your larger customers are going to benefit from rate stability. And what I mean by that is your inflationary cost increases will naturally eat into their over recovery. Costs are going to continue to go up. Their rates don't need to. But in order for their rates to be stagnant, other ratepayers need to pay more of their fair share, which is why the recommendations are addressing your residential and small commercial folks.
So really, you have to raise the rates on the larger customers.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Percentage wise, you don't really need to raise the rate on the larger customers.
Correct. Correct. I mean, that they are helping. The fact that your two largest classes, your residential folks, are 70 cents on the dollar combined. I'm just trying to do simple math there. Their over recovery on the larger users is helping support their subsidizing mom and dad. So y'all give just a little bit of volume away in that for residential small commercial folks. Y'all give 5 units away every month. Like water and sewer, I want y'all to, with gas, I want y'all to eliminate all five units. And then in year two, have a nominal customer charge increase of $3.30 a month to all residential and all small commercial customers.
Don't we also have a billing charge every month, even if you don't use gas?
Yes, and that's what the 330 in the second year would be the increase of.
Now back up. So what you're trying to say, you're gonna take some 330
Yes.
or not use it?
Over the 670 right now, add an additional $3.30.
If you don't use it, you just pay the $6, but they're gonna go from that to $3.30, even if you don't use it. That's a non-use charge, what I'm trying to say.
That's your customer charge.
Okay. Just customer charge and have it there in case you need it.
Right.
Okay.
But everybody will pay it.
Yes.
Whether you're spending $5,000 a month on gas or you're spending $20 a month on gas.
A lot of people don't use much gas this summer. If they got a gas hot water heater, it's good for storage, but if you just use gas, heat, it don't do nothing else.
It's still gonna increase to 330, that's all. Small bill guy and big bill guy is only gonna be increased
That's
to
only in year
$3.30.
two, you're talking about doing that.
Correct. So it's two steps with on gas. The volumetric rate is much lower than it is on gas or on water and sewer. So we're eliminating all of the volume. Or I'm recommending that y'all consider. Sorry for the slip up there. I'm recommending that y'all consider eliminating all usage included in that customer charge for gas right out of the gate in year one.
And what is that about? What is that 560?
It's $2.50, $2.70 roughly.
And that's coming out at 670.
And the reason I don't have an exact answer is with your PGA, your volumetric rate adjusts for fluctuates monthly. Yes, 250, 260. Correct. So, and then in year two, there is no volume, in theory, y'all have eliminated, hopefully in practice, y'all have eliminated all volume included in that customer charge. And then in year two, you increase that customer charge from 670 to 10.
Everybody.
For residential and small commercial. Again, because I don't know if they're paying, if you have a customer paying a 30% premium, I don't want to extend that premium, if you will. But again, if you're below the blue line, you're losing money. If you're above it, you're making it. This is y'all's cost. across is the blue line, the red line is your revenue, and you can see where y'all begin to close the gap. And I will say, on the gas system, it's costing y'all $17 a month to have a customer on the system, a residential customer on the system before they buy the first bit of gas from y'all. That is cost effective. That $17 a month, that's solid. So y'all are controlling that. What that indicates to me is a financial indicator is that this is not an expense issue. That $17 a month is, 50 cents a day just isn't much to be able to buy gas. And then, again, in year 2, it'd be that $3.30 increase. So that would bring in about $188,000 of a roughly $470,000 shortfall. So from an overall recovery, get your residential inside 85 cents on the dollar, residential out up to 94 cents on the dollar. Small commercial, you see they get north of 100%, and everybody else stays where they are. We get to 104% recovery for gas. We got to about 104 on water as well, because we can't get sewer to 100% to stand on its own yet. So this is kind of going back to that initial visual. Y'all are currently, based off existing current revenues and the revenue requirement for each of the 3 systems combined, y'all are 89 cents on the dollar. This gets y'all to 99 cents on the dollar, which is right in line with where you need to be, and has y'all very well positioned that when we do revisit this in 2 years, I would hope or anticipate that the rate adjustments are not near what I'm recommending y'all. These are bigger bites. I fully acknowledge that, driven by really the capital needs and looming debt service associated with that. But it's, again, I said at the outset, part of my job is to get y'all to do or consider doing as little as possible to your rates to do what y'all need to do financially. And at 99 cents on the dollar for the system, that's a reasonable spot to be in, and shows. I really hadn't touched on with the backdrop and the context of the order from the Tennessee Board of Utility Regulation and the cash management, having to build up cash reserves and the rest of it. This will factor into how they view things.
The city residents, for all 3 categories, we're talking $6.50 plus $7. The one-time amount, how much?
Year one.
Year 1.
So it's $7 on sewer, $6.50 on water, and we'll round up and say 3 on gas.
So that's $16.50 likely on every household, unless you have under the minimum of.
To your average resident.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep the majority.
Yeah.
A month for all 3
Less than $200
services.
First year.
First year, all 3 services combined. So that's what you're talking about.
You mentioned the state regular board. If you don't stay in line, tell the board what happens.
You don't want them coming around. It's hard to get them to leave.
Because they'll do what?
They will enforce action.
I know the answers.
I mean,
they're rhetorical questions.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
And we're starting to see, and it's not only Lexington, we're starting to see them going into, I read the printouts of who they go. So you've got to stay in line or they're going to put you in line.
Correct. And they allegedly, within their lane, they have more power in their lane than just about any other committee in the state. I haven't done a full comparison. That's talking to members of the organization that serve on the committee. They've got a lot of latitude.
And we'll go somewhere else. We've always took pride that our city owns all our utilities. I personally like it. I think it's a great thing. The problem you run into, though, you've got to keep rates up, which keeps residents upset at you.
Right.
But I've seen cities sell their utilities, and you know what happens. Once they sell it, product, they come in and they raise it, and then the people don't have a voice at all.
Correct.
I believe the people should have a voice. I do. But I think the people need to realize and understand, too, that the board has an obligation that they've got to keep those rates in line. So it's a fine line right in there that you run.
You're absolutely right.
And sewer and water, likely nobody else would come in. I mean, gas you might
Well,
get a third
you'd
party.
be surprised, because
Okay.
you're a monopoly that provides the necessary
It's
services.
still your current system, but I'm saying they wouldn't come in and do the infrastructure. The point is, we gotta take care of what we got to keep it. Even if you wanted to sell to somebody, if you're undervalued too much, if we're too negligent, somebody wouldn't, they'd have to pay so little for it and improve it so much, it would raise the rates a huge amount.
Correct. If you're talking
I mean,
about
it says
something,
that.
a private entity buying, like a Tennessee American,
Yes, and if you're too negligent on your infrastructure, they're gonna discount what they pay you so much to give room for them to spend a whole bunch of money.
your infrastructure doesn't matter, right? They're gonna purchase it on cash, on available cash. And if you're not making what you need to make, it doesn't matter. If you got $10 million of assets in the ground and you're making $1 a year, they're not gonna base your value on the $10 million, it's gonna be based off the dollar.
But they're gonna fix the infrastructure.
No, the rates would go up dramatically with no control, and they answer to shareholders, not constituents.
Cody, didn't you get a letter a year or two ago, somebody wanted to buy the sewer system?
Yes.
We were like you, we were shocked.
Yeah.
I wouldn't think we'd make them buy it, we did get.
I mean, it's some number, everything for sale. I mean, you know, they gotta think they can get enough money out of our ratepayers to justify it, though.
Right.
But I hope the city always keeps its utilities, I just,
I'm a huge fan of public lands.
I am too. I think it's more fair to the public.
We gotta take care of ours, because you can't have competition in this stuff. It's not like if you let this go under, well, somebody else will come in and do a new one. It doesn't work that way.
Absolutely correct.
They might buy us out, but they're not gonna come in and build it from scratch. Well, we know we can pay it all.
And they're gonna make sure they get a good return on that investment. The rate increase. Any other thoughts or questions for me? All right. Thank y'all very much.
Okay, now, this is for Justin. And these were, some of these questions are questions that I got a call about that I couldn't answer. The extra money that will be coming in, will it be allocated to go to a certain place? Where will it be stored? Or could it potentially be used for other projects?
So the 5-year plan that I sent y'all, that's today, real things that need fixed. Now, if something else comes up that takes priority over a line item that we have in that 5-year plan, then yes, we would have to shift money to fix the issue that we discovered between now and whenever we find it.
Can we, on our monthly reports, is it possible to see how much money that we bring in, even though we got the numbers tonight, but it'll be yearly? Could we get a monthly report of how much extra is coming in, say from 2024 to 2025?
Yeah, I don't see a problem with that. That should be pretty simple.
Your run January to December to July? to
No,
June?
it's the same as the cities.
June to July. And July to June, I'm sorry.
Right.
All right, is there somewhere that you can post or somewhere what, like this 5-year plan that you sent us, instead of me pulling it out everywhere for everybody to look to see what these major projects are that you're in?
I don't see a problem with it, but there again, understanding that this is today's
Yes,
a projection. Of,
these are the questions that I've been asked, and I said I will ask, because everybody is transparency. The board has their faith in you, and we hold you accountable. But on the flip side, I've gotten a ton of calls here lately about this, and so I said I would bring them up. So before you go, is there some way to get what our rates are compared to similar municipalities in West Tennessee, where we stand, like sewer, where we're at 68%?
We partnered with Tennessee Association of Utility Districts 2 years ago and did a rate survey. and water. And we can put one together, it's outside the scope of what we've been engaged to do, but I'm sure we can do a change order for that.
Just kind of give you an idea, I think on these two subjects, depending on how much deferred maintenance other communities had, if they did a lot better job than we did over the last 30 years, their rate's gonna be less.
Well, and that's the point too, so.
I mean, this is different than other things, like property taxes. This goes back into how well we've managed, that's not fair, how much we've kept up with need over the decades. And
Bottom line still is, if we don't do something, this conversation is gonna be had every year throughout the country.
well, this
No, because you're gonna have this,
Or the state will come in and give us
And then there won't be.
what we're gonna do, and we won't have to say so.
and water, sewer, gas is not an option for our residents. That's a service we have to provide. I mean, no matter what it costs, we have to provide.
And on the rate comparison, we're one of 3 surface water plants in West Tennessee. So who are we going to compare ourselves with? So,
I disagree with saying no matter what it costs, that's not the case, we've been prudent in what we spend to
Yes.
do it, that's what he's offering us, a plan to do this without just going all wild.
Yes, I'm saying we have to provide it. We have no option. Our residents, I want sewer, like not let the church go and just say we're not gonna provide that service is not an option. Some things we can say we may not provide that service, I'm not for it, but,
But what he's given us here, there's no guarantee what's gonna happen, even though we adjust these rates, what it costs to keep this thing going.
absolutely.
If it exponentially goes up over the next 3 or 4 years, this could be changed too. You have no choice, but if you're gonna be a manager of a utility, you have to be prudent in what you're gonna do and recognize what the job's doing. That's what he's, brought the gentleman here before us to present. And what I think he's done a pretty good job of it, which I understand. I'm just trying to relate how much it's gonna cost per person, but it's not expediently high, as some things would be. But it's necessary that we don't have to do inside the city. I don't see it's a big plan, but I agree with what everybody's saying, but let's just do it prudently and fairly and get it done.
Are we allowed to ask a question?
Yes, sir, go ahead.
We're talking about a 5-year plan, and I saw nothing but 2 years on the screen.
Correct.
So are we talking about increases every year for the next 5 years to keep up with your plan?
Well, a couple of things. The 5-year capital plan is not my plan, it's the utilities plan. And I will be back here in 2 years to make recommendations, much like I did tonight. I don't know what they're gonna be, I don't know what the cost will be in 2026. And we'll rate on the capital.
So we could be talking about even more.
I would be surprised if the rate increases themselves were larger, but I do expect to recommend increases when I'm back, but I don't know that they'll be as large as they are today. Assuming everything stays the same in the next 2 years.
Next question, I understand the need.
Come on up to the podium, say your name, so she can put it in the minutes.
Patrick Cherry, 746 Harbor Drive. I understand the need, and I think most people do. I guess the question would be, when you vote on this plan, is this an open-ended thing? I mean, if this man comes back and tells us, well, next time we gotta go up $10, or we gotta go up $20, is this something that y'all are just gonna that he's gonna automatically do?
But
I don't want something that's open-ended, you know.
Can you show or share, if you're willing to, what the 5-year plan is?
I'd love to see a copy of the 5-year plan.
That would be, I think, beneficial, because there are some pretty big, Justin offered all of us a ride through the system to show us all the need and issues that are out there, and every one of them are in the building. And it's basically what we have said, is stuff that has been put off for decades that's now coming home to roost.
Yeah.
So, if you're okay with it.
I'm fine with it, but everybody needs to look at it very objectively, that the 5-year plan changes.
So that's what.
That's what I'm scared of.
But
that'll be a new project.
And what's approved, if we did go up, we have to
If
approve it or not.
if the dam at Beach Lake was, something happened to it, that would throw it all.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you know, yeah, we understand that. Everybody understands that. I mean, that's our water source. I mean, things happen.
Same thing as with the
But
lagoons.
we just don't want an open-ended thing where, you know, whoever's in power at that time can come in and just continue on with this and keep raising rates every year. I mean, yeah, if it's a one-time thing, that's somewhat understandable, because of the condition of the infrastructure. I think the next big thing is waste. I mean, if nothing else, we can look at what's going on in the federal government right now and see that there's just an enormous amount of waste everywhere. And I'm sure there's an enormous amount of waste going on here. You know, who knows? Who knows where all the money goes? And I think that things need to be looked at a little bit closer and try to rein in some of the spending. You can, putting money back for the future or working on infrastructure for the future is great. We need to do that. But we'd have a lot more money to do that, I think, if we reined in some of the waste. I'm sure I'll get back up here again in a minute.
Go ahead. My question is, in your opinion, this is an honest question, because it's something I'll ask. Where do you personally think the majority of the waste comes from?
I'm going to step on a lot of toes when I say it. Give you an example. I recently built 2 houses in the city. Everything to do with the utilities that was done was a disaster. Putting in a water meter does not take 5 trucks and 10 men. Putting in a sewer tap does not take 6 men. And I stood around and kind of paid attention to what was going on. 3 of the 6 worked, 3 stood and watched. And sorry if I step on toes, through this whole process of building 2 houses, the smoothest thing that was done was dealing with Brandon. Usually your inspectors give you more trouble than anybody else. And he was great. And I really expected him to be difficult to deal with because he's an inspector. That's what they do. But, I mean, everything that was done was either wrong or just a disaster. And I'm like, I'm sure I'm making some people mad and turning some faces red right now. And I'm sorry, I hate it. I'll give them my phone number and we can talk it out.
Did you bring it to their attention?
I tried. You never get to anybody above a mid-level person. So, but that's my big thing, is that when you got people standing around watching, that's waste. No matter how you look at it, anybody in here will tell you that's waste. And we're all looking at increases in our utility costs. And if there wasn't waste, we probably wouldn't have a problem with it. But when you've got waste, it's kind of hard to stomach. Back in November, 80% of this county, this city, voted for a big change at the federal level. Try to make things better. And then we come here between property taxes and increases in utilities. It's like getting kicked in the gut. I mean, you're like, everybody was excited. We really did some good here. We're going to make a change in this governmental system. Get our taxes back in line with where they need to be. And then you come to your local officials, and same thing we were dealing with before November at the federal level. It's like, I don't get it. I mean,
Don't get the projects now cost $5.5 million instead of $2 million.
I understand that things have gone up.
But that's the big stuff. The stuff you're referring to, there's probably out there. but it's small percentages. We're not.
Oh,
talking
yeah,
about-
I know
So
what you're saying.
rate changes-
You can preach to me all day about that. I get exactly what you're saying. We're talking about small stuff. But a lot of small things end up being pretty big. And, we just don't want the waste. We're sick of the waste. It's what everybody's tired of. We don't mind paying what needs to be paid. That's just kind of where I'm at with it. I figure most people here would agree with me. Maybe not, maybe I'm wrong. But it just needs to be reined in a little bit, I know people, I've got relatives here that in the last 3 or 4 years, through this COVID mess, got like a 50-cent an hour raise. We're talking about people that make $25, $30 an hour, well-paid people. Look at what utility workers got an increase, massive increases. And they can't put a meter in the right location.
I just wanted to add one thing to Mr. Cherry. I'm sure out of y'all's package you could read section 4. It shows in there with these rate increases that there's supposed to be an automatic rate increase based on COLA percentage. What I saw with your package, is that correct?
There is a code on which one is there.
That's my concern.
Section 4 shows that, and this what they're going to vote on tonight.
Water and sewer groups, just water and sewer. The code.
The problem with the COLA is when you have 8% inflation, and you have a 2% COLA, which was factored in and put in there. We never put in for 8% COLA. And what happened when we did that, we went 2 years and didn't recognize it, we got behind. They said a fixed COLA instead of just a
Okay, so there will be an automatic increase if this passes.
I didn't say that. The reason I didn't say that is because we've been fighting for water and sewer because the sewer is much higher maintained than water. Our plant was put in and because it went up, not we, but the board force went up lower cost, but what's happening is it's wearing out. We're facing, because the state guidelines says we gotta change this and bring it up to par. We have no money to bring it up to par, but they'll come in and say, okay, you're gonna bring it up, and they'll set your rate for sewer. So, we're trying to sit here and look at this thing objectively, and have a 5-year plan to do it. Now, had you rather say, okay, we just raise everybody's rates $25 on water, $25 on sewer, they can't have a bunch of money to do something, or we should just go through this thing a 2-year period and slowly adjust up so everybody understands what's going on. So we as a board are sitting here trying to figure out that we know that we're behind. We know the state's put us on notice, and we gotta come up with a plan to do it. The gentleman who's hired to show us this, we have to make an objective decision on what we got to do, but we want to cause a minimum impact on our citizens to achieve the goal is to get us where we need to be. In 2 years from now, people may be better off. Citizens may be better off, they may be worse off, we may be worse off. But at least you have to put a plan in for 1 to 2 years to make this thing happen. If you don't, we are not doing that job before we do this. And it's a tough decision to make. I mean, I don't like making it, but at the same time, I want to be fair with everybody and every ratepayer, but at the same time, I want to be sure that we don't get on the bad side of the state. Because I know what will happen. They'll come in and set rates, we have no say so. We'll get blamed either way.
And I understand that, and to me, instead of having an automatic increase every year, you need to come back and reevaluate this here after the 2 years.
That's what we're gonna do. That's the whole idea. That's what he's trying to tell us. And what we will is, and actually, in 6 months, you can see this thing going in a positive direction, and we can evaluate where we are. We don't have to wait 2 years. We can probably get ahead of it in 2 years. We'd like to see a positive trend, change that line up there, bring it up where we're not below that green line. We need to be at least, we're not making money. What we're doing is, we provide the public service for the taxpayer here and for the ratepayers, and we're trying to do it without making a profit for the city. We're not trying to make a profit. Now, get back to what Mr. Cherry said about employees. Well, there may be some people that abuse the system, there may be some people that do certain things, but that could be corrected with a little bit of supervision and understanding what we need to do, and I think they can address that. I'm glad you make it aware of us, and I appreciate that, and we'd like to address it and take care of it. But we're gonna have to take a shot at this and figure out where we need to be, and we're gonna have to make our best judgment on what we need to do. And I personally feel like we gotta level those lines up. If we do it in 2 years, I'm gonna be tickled, but I don't think we'll get leveled in 2 years. So we have been short for a while. We know we have, and it's been struggling because we borrowed this money. We got behind the curve. We gotta get to the curve, and nothing else. We may not get around it, but we got to get to that curve. So people come behind us, we'll make this thing work.
Anybody else in the audience like to speak before they vote? Anybody else on board?
This is a first reading.
It's first reading.
So if we want to change it and not do as much, for some reason between now and then, it's just like back when we were doing taxes. The first reading is not the deal, it's gonna last.
That's correct.
I'll make a motion to accept.
Motion to have a second. Any discussion?
Now, one back question to put Mr. Lavelle to this automatic COLA every year.
It was fixed, Fred. It was not said what it was. I called and asked Michael Harper, and Michael told me that we voted on that COLA. It was based on the year, what it was, and it said it that year's going forward, and we was never made aware that
So it's always been in there.
It's always been in there.
So it's not something that.
It's nothing new. It's nothing new. It's always been in there. But what we didn't understand was it was going up. Nobody ever made us aware that they was going in the opposite direction, was taking money. We actually, one time, was making money and had money. But because that COLA was not making enough to replenish it, we started eating it out of it, eating it out of it, eating it out of it. Next thing you know, we're blown apart. But had we been told at the time that the COLA was not sufficient and we should have made it float with whatever the COLA was, we'd have been level all the way through, but we was not told that. That's what happened on the COLA.
So does that make sense to you?
No, not really, because I mean, you still, if you're gonna look at it, we're going back and here, as Justin has said, you've got to be objective here. In 5 years and 3 years from now, he may have a project that he's got lined up in this plan that all of a sudden has to take a back seat because something else comes about that takes up. And at that point, in that time frame there, doing an automatic rate adjustment, and that means our rates have been going up every single year. So there's money that's been coming in every single year. We've been paying additional revenue.
But did you also hear where he said the expenses has been going up, the COLA didn't?
Right. It didn't match it. So in other words, what you did was you got stuck with this thing here and you never looked at it year to year to year and sit down and said, okay, well, instead of getting way behind where we've got to make massive increases, we could have bumped up the rate some. To me, you guys need to be coming to look at this for every single year, not doing an automatic increase and saying, okay, well, let's just kind of get complacent and let it go through. Look at it every year. Look, this is what's happening, and this is where we need to make a change.
Well, we can't fix.
You can't fix the past, but you can move forward.
And that is what I think we've been talking about doing, is that, we can't go
But
back
you're doing
to-
the same thing, though. You're still doing this automatic rate increase without, it makes you complacent and you're not discussing things. That's where you've gotten to.
But it was going into it. It was already happening, right? Yeah.
Gabe Williams.
Yes.
Fred Ellis.
Yes.
Roger Lofton.
Yes.
Jimmy White.
Yes.
Gordon Wilkins.
We'll take a 2-minute recess. I'm gonna go ahead and tell the crowd, my sister's been in the hospital for about 19 days, in and out of intensive care. And I got a call, my builder called, and I'm gonna stay for a couple more things, and I need to leave. Okay, take a recess real quick. I think some of those days are ready. I apologize.